Good morning. Namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's begin this morning by getting present. You can find a nice, comfortable seated position on a block or a pillow, blanket, something that'll allow the back of your spine and the back of your neck to sit nice and long and tall, opening up your chest and opening up your diaphragm and opening up your heart. Let's close our eyes and soften our thoughts. Soften our eyes. Soften our shoulders. Soften our heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, breathing life into you with each inhale and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or phrase to have with you on your mat and perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning's intention I'd like to talk about is Brahmacharya. So we've been talking about the 8 limbs of yoga, and the first of the 8 limbs is the Yamas, and there are 5 Yamas. The 4th one is Brahmacharya. And Brahmacharya's original meaning way back 2,000, 5,000 years ago, meant celibacy. But in more recent times, and this has been a long time translation of it, it has been interpreted as non-excess. And then just even a couple years ago, I have seen the meaning to translated to be proper use of energy. And they all have this common thread in finding the balance between overdoing and underdoing and understanding what is enough. So 125 years ago, probably around in Vermont, even 100 years ago, 1925, people's energy was regulated by daytime and nighttime, sunrise, sunset, and the rhythm of the seasons, because Vermont was very agricultural at that point still. And that was actually, they were practicing Brahmacharya without knowing it. It helped them to find the balance between rest and activity. So nowadays, we live in a very different world. The daylight and the night time aren't regulated by the sun. It's regulated by electricity. And we are using probably getting into that position of excess all the time. So thinking about Brahmacharya, think about using our energy properly to work and then to play and then to be active and to rest. So for our Pranayama this morning, our breathing technique, we'll do something that is a real balanced breathing technique. It's Vritti, and it means equal length breath. and it's a very calming and balancing breathing technique. So I'm going to be counting to 4. So you inhale to the count to 4, and then you exhale the count of 4. So that's even. Inhales and exhales are all even. And if 4 doesn't work for you, I'm going to drop off counting to 4. Find something that works better for you as far as a count. I typically kind of work with a count of 6. Just because I like that really deep inhale coming from my stomach up through my ribs, up to my chest, and then really exhaling it back through the chest and the ribs and the stomach. So let's begin. So inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to drop off now and you find your own count. And you can return to your normal breath now. So for this morning's meditation, there's a mudra, and it's a mudra for balance. It's Hakini. And to do that, you bring your fingertips together as if a ball is in between. And then you place that mudra in front of your solar plexus or your midsection there. And that directs the breath and awareness and energy to the center of the body for balance, balancing your mind and your body. So you can do that mudra while we do our meditation. And I have an affirmation for you if you'd like to focus on that. And the affirmation is, I understand what is enough. I understand what is enough. Actually, maybe I should switch it to I do what is enough. Either one. You can work with that. Make it your own. And I'll meet you on the mat. and we can begin our asana practice. I have a block today, and if you have a block handy, it might come in handy to help you in a couple of the poses that we're going to do today. So I'm just going to leave that there. Maybe I'll leave it over on the back side. So that will help in at least two of the poses today. So let's begin with our sun breath. And thinking about that affirmation, using the word balance, which is what my t-shirt says here and what yoga and Ayurveda is all about. It's kind of even distilling it down further. Proper use of energy is like balancing everything, not being in excess or not being kind of on the sloppy side either. So let's begin with a few sun breaths and chest openers. So slowly raising your hands up overhead, bringing your arms toward your ears, palms come together overhead, and then exhaling, bringing the palms down to heart center. And then opening up your hands to each side, bringing them as far back as what is comfortable, not excess, just what is comfortable, that sweet spot. And then exhaling, bringing them back together. Then inhale up. And exhale down. And you can try to do a little bit of Vritti breath, that equal length breath when you're doing this too. So inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale up. And exhale down. Really long, deep breaths. And one last time, inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Bring the hands to the Hakini, and then up. And then down. All right, and we'll do a few what I call sun twists. So we're going to inhale up. When you reach the top, we're going to pivot, looking over to the left, bringing the right hand down on the left knee, left hand behind your hips, and then bringing them back up again, your hands back up again, twisting over to the right side, bringing both hands down, left hand lands on the right knee, right hand lands behind the hips, and then up again, sweeping up, big inhale, and then exhale down, right hand comes to left knee, left hand behind the hip, and then up again, big inhale, twisting over to the right, coming back down, left hand on the right knee, right hand behind the back, and the hips, and then lifting one time up again, over to the left, and then down. We're going to land here, and with your right hand on your left knee, you're going to bring your left hand over, crossing over your right arm, and bringing your left hand to your right knee. So your arms are crossed. Now we're going to go into eagle arms. So we're just going to bring the backs of our hands together. And then if you can, it's optional, bring the palms together. And you determine what is excessive for you, if you're overdoing it or if you're underdoing it. If you can bring them and you choose not to, maybe that's underdoing it. So bring our hands into the eagle pose, eagle arms, and then we'll relax our arms and we'll do that again. We're going to sweep our hands up overhead. This time we'll turn over to the right side first, bringing our hands down. Left hand lands on the right knee, right hand behind the hips. And then sweeping up, bringing your hands over to the left side. Right hand lands on the left knee, left hand behind the back. And then we'll sweep up again, twisting over to the right, and then back down. And then sweep up one more time, turning to the left, and coming back down. And then one last sweep up. Big inhale, sweeping your hands straight up to the sky, and then bringing your left hand down on your right knee, right hand behind the hips. And then we'll keep the left hand on the right knee and bring the right hand to the left knee, crossing our right arm over our left. And then bringing the backs of our hands together. And then the palms of our hands, or it's like fingers to palms. We'll just rest in eagle arms here for a moment. Just kind of breathing into relaxing your shoulders, not feeling any tension there. And then we'll release and bring our hands back down. And we'll roll down on our back. You can choose your roll down method. I'm going to have my knees bent today and slowly lower down, trying to connect each vertebra with the mat one at a time. And then we'll bring the knees to the chest, give them a nice hug. Just kind of wake up our spine, wake up the back of our neck. Rock a little back and forth. And then we'll send both feet down to the bottom of the mat, coming into reclined mountain pose. And take the right foot, the sole of the right foot, slide it up the inside of the left leg till it reaches the knee, and becomes figure 4. And then we'll lift the right ankle up, placing it on the left leg, right above the kneecap. And then bringing both legs up so they're airborne. The right knees facing toward the right side of the mat. You can gently guide it with your hand. Toes are pointing up to the sky. We can interlace your fingers behind your left thigh and slowly guide that left thigh toward your chest. And again, you can breathe into any tension you feel here. We'll release our hands to keep our legs where they are. And we're going to slide that right foot over so that we're crossing our legs as if we're sitting in a chair crossing our legs. And then if you can, you take your right toes and tuck them underneath your left calf and come into eagle legs. Just having it side by side, the right foot beside the left leg is fine too. And if you want, you can try tucking those right toes underneath the calf and having them come into a pretzel. Pretzel legs, also known as eagle legs. Get that feeling, that sensation there. And then we'll release that, bring the knees back to the chest, give them a nice hug, maybe rock a little bit more. And then take our feet and slide them back down to the end of the mat to recline mountain pose. We'll do that on the other side. So we'll slide the left sole of our foot up to the right knee, inner part of the right knee, creating that figure 4 with our legs. Then we'll lift the left ankle up and place it on the right leg right above the kneecap. And then we'll lift both legs up toward the sky. Toes are pointed up to the sky. Interlace our hands behind our right thigh and slowly guide that right thigh toward our chest. Again, that's finding that sweet spot between effort and relaxation. May feel a little tension there. You can breathe into it. See if that softens it a little. And if not, just kind of release, send your thigh away from your chest. Just find that spot between excess and non-excess, that sweet spot between effort and relaxation. And then we'll release our hands and then slide that left leg over our right leg, coming into that seated, crossing your leg pose. And then you can either bring your left foot to your right leg, or if you can, tuck those left toes underneath the right calf for eagle legs. And then we'll release that. Bring the knees back to the chest. Give them a nice hug again. Maybe do a little bit more rocking. And then we're going to come back up on our hands and knees. So you can roll over to your side and come onto your hands and knees, or if you'd like to rock and roll your spine along the mat and come up to a seated position and just cross over to your hands and knees. And coming into tabletop, where our wrists are right below our shoulders, knees are right below our hips. Fingers are spread wide apart, sort of gripping the mat, finding that strength in your fingers, gently pushing down in an equal distribution of weight, really balancing on your hands. And then we'll gently turn our head or nose to the right. We'll do some head turns. And then slowly swing back to center. And then bring your nose over to the left. And then swing back to center. Slowly bring it over to the right. And I should say slowly swing back to center. And then slowly over to the left. Nice even flow. And then back to center. And one last time to the right. Back to center. And one last time to the left. Back to center. And then we'll do a few cat-cows here. We round our back as we exhale, dropping our head and tailbone down. And then inhale, lifting our head up, sending our gaze straight ahead, tailbone goes up. And then exhale, rounding the back again. Cat. Then inhale, lifting the head up, tailbone goes up, or cow. And we'll continue this, just kind of synchronizing your even breaths, your inhales and exhales to the postures. Going at your own pace. And then we'll come back to center, back to tabletop. Now we're going to take our left leg and extend the foot down to the bottom of the mat. Again, keeping that equal distribution of weight in your hands so that your shoulders have that space between the shoulders and the ears. And then we're going to take the left foot, bring it over to the right. So it's just sitting outside of the mat. And we'll send our gaze back down to our left foot. You'll just feel a little bit of stretching along your left side there. And then we're going to take that left knee, that left leg, and bring it up alongside, somewhat alongside, the right knee. So we're just kind of dropping it to the mat, dropping it to the floor. And then we're going to take our left foot and kind of send that over to the left. So we have what looks like, from my point of view, bird's eye point of view, the letter M. And then I'm going to walk my hands back, coming into, this is cow-faced legs. So this is where a block might come in handy. So you can put it between your legs, and then when you're walking back, you're going to land on the block and be seated on the block. So you have your knees somewhat over one another, feet kind of going off in opposite directions. And this is cow, the bottom part, there's two parts to cow face. There's an upper part with the arms as well, but we'll just do the cow face legs. And if you don't have a block, you can slowly make your way down to the mat. It's quite a bit more of a stretch. Bringing ideally both sit bones to the mat. And move feet out. And this one, you can feel that tension again and breathe in and out. See if you can loosen up that tension again. And even when you're breathing, you can inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth, really relaxing yourself. And feeling if you can just kind of be with that posture, that pose, without it feeling tense by utilizing your breath. Alrighty, and then we're gonna kind of work our way back up to tabletop. We'll do that on the other side. So back to tabletop. Wrists right below the shoulders. Extend the right foot down to the bottom of the mat. And then send the right foot over to the left, just outside of the mat. And send our gaze over to our right foot. And then we'll bring that right knee down to the mat and kind of make that letter M with our feet and knees. And if you have that block, you can put it right between your legs. You walk your hands back to sit on it. Coming into cow-faced legs. Or if you don't have the block, ease your way into sitting on your sit bones, your butt. Your feet going side to side. And again, just kind of taking a few deep breaths. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. And just relaxing into that. Alrighty, and we'll come back up to tabletop. And then tucking our toes under, walking our hands back. We'll come pushing down and coming up to mountain pose. So with mountain pose, our toes are along the straight line in the mat, and then we'll lift them all up and spread them apart as much as we can, and then bringing them back down, lifting our heels up, and then bringing our heels back down, really feeling grounded, really feeling connected to the earth. Very stable and still and strong. And then we'll sweep our hands up overhead, big inhale. Exhale, bringing our hands down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. And lifting our hands to our shins, elbows are tucked toward our thighs, really straightening out that spine and the back of our neck. One nice long length, eyes gazing down. And then setting the crown of our head down to forward fold. And sweeping our hands all the way up. Nice, slow, controlled movement. And as we bring them up, we're going to come up onto our tippy toes. And then exhale, bringing our hands slowly down as we slowly bring our heels back down to the mat. And then sweeping our hands back up again, back up overhead. And back down. Both hands and heels come back down. And one last time, sweeping up. Maybe this time reaching a little bit higher with our hands and our tippy toes. And then back down. And bringing our hands all the way down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. Heels have landed. And then our hands will sweep up to our shins. Nice flat back. And then sending the crown of our head down toward the mat. And sweeping our hands once again all the way up overhead. Big inhale. This this time we're not going to bring our hands together. We're do a little bit of a different side stretch. So with our hands just kind of straight above our shoulders, we're just going to kind of lean to the right and then come back straight up and then lean to the left. Coming straight up. One more time out to the right. Try to keep your arms along the side of your ears and then back up and then to the left and then back up again. Then we'll bring our hands back down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. Once they've landed, we'll slide them all the way up to our shins, elbows tucked toward our thighs, creating a nice straight back and neck. And then sending the crown of our head down toward the mat. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead again. And we'll bring our hands just above our shoulders once again. And we'll do a few chair poses. So you can keep your hands up, your option, or you can bring them to shoulder height or somewhere in between. Then we're going to tuck our navel to our spine and then bring our hips down toward the mat. Our knees are bending and we want to keep our knees behind our big toes. And bringing our thighs so that they're just about parallel to the mat. And then coming back up again. Again, you can have your arms up or bring them down lower or anywhere in between. So let's come back down to chair pose, sending our hips down toward the mat, bending our knees, navel's tucked to the spine. And then back up again. And one last time, we'll make this one a quick one. So I'm move my hands kind of halfway in between the two. Bring my hips down toward the mat. And then coming back up. Well done. Sweeping our hands back down to the mat. Bending our knees. And sliding our hands to our shins. Elbows tucked toward our thighs. Nice flat straight back. Crown of the head goes down toward the mat. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together and palms come to your heart center. And then palms come to the back of your hips. So your fingertips are pointing down. Feet about hip width apart. And just relax your shoulders. Relax your upper body. Tucking your chin toward your chest. Then just drop our shoulders back for supported back bend. Coming to that sweet spot between effort and relaxation. Listening to your breath, seeing how shallow or how strong it is, and adjusting accordingly. And then we'll come back up to mountain pose. Well done, everyone. Moving the right hand down. So while we're in mountain pose, we're going to lift our right leg up to that 90-degree angle like you're sitting in a chair. Just balance here for a moment. And then we're going to send that foot out and back of us along the mat and landing it as far back as you can. And then we'll pivot to the right and come into a wide-legged stance. Big toes are pointing to the corners of the mat. Heels are tucked in. We'll bring our arms up to shoulder height. And we'll do a few eagle arms here as we modify goddess type pose. So we're going to bend our knees, sending our hips down toward the mat as we bring our arms to cross in front of us and then come into eagle hands. So again, you can either bring your fingers and palms together or the backs of your hands together, whichever works for you. And then we'll come up with our legs, spread our arms back to the T shape or star shape, and then we'll come down. We're going to switch arms this time. So whichever one went above before, now it's going to go underneath. And then we'll come back up again, bringing our arms back out to T shape. We'll pivot with our feet. Our feet are pointing now to the left side of the mat. Coming into warrior two. So warrior two, our left knees over the left ankle. Just be able to see our big toe peeking out from behind the knee. Our back leg is nice and long, and you want to just kind of tweak yourself, get into a nice stance here. And back edge of your right foot will be nice and snug in the mat. Your arms are out straight. Chest is pointing to the long side of the mat. And then slowly turning your head to look at your left fingertips. And then lifting your left fingertips up to the sky as you watch them with your eyes. Extend up to the sky. Right arm comes down. And then we're going to bring that left arm down and rest the forearm on the thigh of your left leg, coming into extended side angle. We'll bring the right arm up to the sky and send your gaze up to the right hand. And then bring your right hand down to the mat. And we'll pivot into runner's lunge. And we'll send our left foot back to join the right foot and come into downward dog. And we'll pedal out here for a few moments. And then slowly walk our way up to our hands, coming into a forward fold. And then sweeping our hands all the way up to the sky. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. And then we're going to go into a full eagle pose. We've done bits of it with our arms and with our feet. And this is where a block might come in handy. So let's see. I'm going to start, doesn't really matter. I'm going to start with my right leg being my support leg. And I'm going to cross my left leg over my right leg and landing it on the block. And if you don't have a block, that's fine. You just cross it over. And this is where if you can tuck your toes behind your calf, which then throws my stability all off. And then we're going to bring the left arm. Sorry. This is a really great balancing pose, and it really exemplifies overdoing and underdoing. but when I'm talking, I can't focus. So we have the left arm or left leg over the right leg, left arm underneath, the right arm bringing into pigeon, eagle hands, wrong bird. And then we're going to lower our hips down toward the mat. So this is the full expression of eagle pose. It's a pose really all about balance. And I love the over the arms, under the arms, over the legs, under the legs, the overdoing and underdoing piece of it. And then we'll release the pose and come back to mountain pose. So we'll do that all on the other side as well. So starting with mountain pose, inhaling, sweeping our hands up overhead. Big inhale, hands come together, hands come to heart center. And we'll lift our left leg up and just balance here for a moment. And then we'll take that left leg and extend it behind us as far back as it can go and land it. And we put around to the side. And our toes are pointing up to the corners of the mat, heels are tucked in 45 degrees. We'll sweep our arms up to a T shape. And then we're going to lower our hips down toward the mat, bending our knees and bringing our arms together, crossing one over the other and coming into eagle arms. And then pushing down our feet, coming back up, bringing our arms back to the T shape. And then we'll lower again, hips toward the mat, and bring the arms together, crossing the opposite way. And then coming back up, releasing the arms back to the T shape, pivoting both feet to the right, bending the right knee so it's straight over the right ankle, being able to see our big toe peeking out. Our chest is along the straight edge of the mat. And then our arms are nice and straight, strong. And we'll send our gaze to our right fingertips. And then sweeping our right hand up to the sky, following it with our gaze, coming into reverse warrior. And then bringing that right arm so that the forearm comes down and lands on the top of the right thigh, sweeping our left hand up to the sky, sending our gaze up to our left hand. And then lowering our left hand down, pivoting into runner's lunge. Both hands come to the mat. And then we'll send the right foot back to downward dog and pedal out here for a little bit. Arms are nice and straight and strong, gripping the mat with our fingers. Chest reaches toward the thighs. And we'll slowly walk our feet up to our hands, coming into forward fold. Sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. And palms come to heart center. And we'll do eagle pose on the other side. So again, if you have the block available, placing it right next to your left foot. The left foot will be my foot stand, if you will, today. And then lifting the right leg and crossing it over the left. And then bringing the right arm under the left arm. Oops. Right arm under the left arm, coming into eagle hands, and then lowering our hips down toward the mat, coming into eagle pose. And then you release. Well done, everyone. If you didn't have a block, just having your foot on the mat, crossing, should have mentioned that, sorry. All right, pinky toes come to the edge of the mat, heels tucked in, 45 degrees. We'll bring our hands together, Anjali Mudra at the heart center. And then slowly lowering our hips down to the mat, we'll come into a wide-legged squat. Elbows come to the inner part of our knees. And you can keep your hands together and send them down toward the mat for a little bit more stretch. And then we'll bring our sit bones down to the mat. And we're going to roll down on our backs again, using whichever way you like to roll down. I'm going to go down express method, tucking my hands under my knees and just rolling back, bringing my knees to my chest, interlacing my fingers so I can give them a nice hug. And again, rock the back and forth, massage that lower back. And then I'm going to send my knees out so that they are, again, as if I'm sitting in a chair. They're at a 90-degree angle. And this is a pose. I laugh because I don't know if it's because I subscribe to so many yoga things, but I'm constantly getting barraged. This is what you should, these are the 5 poses you should do every day. And I think this one came from art, and it was singled out as, this is the one pose you should be doing every day. And then because it's art, AARP, it's directed to seniors. So with your legs coming at a 90-degree angle, bring your toes down to the mat. So your big toes are touching the mat. And your knees are going to extend forward and come down too. So just find that spot where your toes reach the mat. And then tucking your navel to your spine so that your lower back comes down toward the mat is ideal. And we're going to do just a couple of these, and then we're going to make a few adjustments, see what works for you. So then what you do is you lift your feet up off the mat and send them up to the sky at an angle. So you're going to have this toe tap. We do something similar, toe tap, and then extend to the sky. Toe tap, and then extend to the sky. So they're like, do this one every day. Like, okay. But it is a really good core strengthener, and they suggest doing it instead of crunches. So we'll do that. Do one more. And then bring your toes back down the mat. And then adjustments, you can slide your hands underneath your butt or have a towel underneath your butt, and see how, again, lifting your toes up to the sky kind of forces your lower back to come down lower, that tucking of your navel to your spine. It helps with that just a little bit. So we'll do a couple of those. And then we'll stop. And again, if you need to make another adjustment, maybe bring your hands up a little closer to your waistline so you're really got that lower back coming down to the mat. And we'll adjust. So again, bringing your toes down to the mat and then just sending them straight up to the sky, and you're at an angle so you can really feel it in your core here. And you can do as many repetitions, maybe start with 4 and then rest in between. And then do 4 more. And we'll rest. And then we'll bring our knees, release our hands from underneath, and really bring our knees toward our chest and give them a nice hug again. And we'll end with a few reclining twists. So send your arms out in a T shape. Exhale, dropping the knees to the right. Once they've landed, gently sending your gaze over to the left. And then sending your gaze back up to the sky, lifting your knees back up to center, and then lowering them to the left side. And when they've landed, sending your gaze over to the right to look at your right fingertips. And then slowly returning your head back to center, returning your legs back to center, and then sliding your feet down to the end of the mat. Feet go into each corner. Bring your arms alongside you, palms facing up, preparing for Shavasana. Taking a big inhale through your nose, and then relaxing as you exhale through your mouth. And do that 2 more times. Big inhale, and then exhale through your mouth. And one last time, big inhale, and exhale through your mouth. And I have a poem today by Danna Faulds titled, "It Is Enough." It is enough right now to taste one moment of peace. Of course, I want more, that at least the door is open. It is enough to draw a conscious breath and let my hands relax, fingers releasing their tight grasp on things outside my control. It is enough to shed a layer of stress as if taking off a jacket or a pair of tight shoes. Ease of being has to start somewhere. This breath is my first step.